This is Saxon Math for 6th grade. Today we're going to be working on lesson number 48. We're going to be looking at fraction, decimal, and percent equivalence. We've done this before, just a few lessons ago. We learned how to change a fraction to a decimal and a decimal to a percent. You're going to want to go back and use those notes to help you with some of our work today. But before we get to the hard part of changing fractions and decimals and percents into one another, there are a few that I just want you to memorize. Here are fractions, their equivalent decimals, and their equivalent percents. These are some very common fractions. And their decimals and their percents are ones that it's helpful to just memorize so that you know them. 1/3, 1 out of 3. That's 0.3 repeating. 0.3. We put the bar over the repetend. Or 33 1/3%. That's how we're going to write this one out as a percent. We're going to write the part that repeats as a fraction. 2/3. 2/3 is 0.6 repeating. 0.666666666, which we're going to write as 0.6 with the bar over the repetend. Or 66 2/3. We're going to write the repeating part as a fraction, percent. Here's some others that you may already have in your memory. 1/2 is the same as 0.5, which is 50%. 1/4 is the same as 0.25, or 25%. Please write these in your journal. They're ones you want to start getting into your memory. So when you see these, I want you to get in the habit of thinking, oh yeah, or looking back and practicing so that these ones just become second nature. So you don't have to go through the steps of converting one to the other. All right, let's look at these. Let's say I am given a decimal number, 1.5, and I want to change it to, I have a decimal, I want to change it to a fraction and also to a percent. Let's start with changing it to a fraction. I don't have to change the whole number to a fraction, only the part of the number. So, 1 is still going to be 1. The 0.5, I want to change into a fraction. I can do this one of two ways. Either, 1, I can look over here and say, wait, 0.5, that is 1/2 or 50%, and I can write it as 1.5. Or, I can keep my 1, keep my whole number. 0.5 is 5 in my tenths place. 5/10. Then I can reduce. 1 5/10 reduces to 1 1/2. Either way, my decimal has been converted into a fraction, in this case a mixed number. Now into a percent. Anytime I have a whole number, I'm going to have 100% or 200%. These are our hundreds place. This is 100%, that's what 1 is. And then I have 0.5, also known as 0.50. Well, I could look over here. 0.5 is the same as half, is the same as 50%. So 100, and the 0.5 is 50, making it 150%. Or I can carry it out to 2 place values, to my hundredths, and then I can write it over 100 to see what I get as a percent. This means percent. When I look at it, I have 150 hundredths, which is 150%. Let's look down here. When we start at a percent, if we want to change it to a fraction and a decimal. I find it easiest to change them to a fraction first and then a decimal. You can do it any way you like. 60% is 60 over 100. 6 and 10 will both divide by 2. 6 divided by 2 is, we'll both divide by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 60% is 3/5. Now I can change it into a fraction. It's not one of my fractions I was supposed to memorize, so I'm going to have to figure it out. Now I need to change it into a decimal. It's not one that I already memorized, so now I need to figure it out. One way to do it would be to take 3 and divide by 5. 3 divided by 5. Continue your problem. 3 divided by 5 is nothing. 30 divided by 5. Notice I put my decimal point up first. 30 divided by 5 is 6. 6 times 5 is 30. Nothing left over. 0.6 would be, or 0.60 if you'd like to continue it, would be my number 60% written as a decimal. When you see these in your problems in your book, you'll see them as a chart. Fractions, decimals, percents, and you'll be asked to convert one to another.